Good afternoon, folks. Going to do a battle today with a set of reels that I've had for a while, but I've not actually played with them. So this will be the first time that I'm using them. They seem quite a popular set of reels, and they cover basically the horse and musket period, and they are the black powder reels. I say I've not played with them before, so this will be interesting to see how they play. A lot of people use these reels, so and obviously they're from Warlord Games, and like all their rule sets, very beautiful book, lots and lots of pictures of figures in there, pretty much every page, all in colour. So we'll see how it plays. The figures I'm going to be using are my American Civil War figures, which again I've not used for quite a while. I've only ever played with these with some home written rules, so be interesting to see how they play with the black powder rules. So a simple scenario: 2 brigades of Confederate infantry. There's the first one, and there's the second one, and they're basically going up against 1 brigade of Union infantry. Some of the reviews I've read about these rules and some of the comments about these rules are you need a very large table, so this is going to be interesting because my table is small, and my forces are small as well. Obviously, 2 brigades against 1 brigade, but we'll see whether the rules can be used on small tables. But I had a quick flick through and I can see that the distances that a unit could travel in one turn is quite large. I think it was three moves of 12 or something, just for infantry. So it could end up going across the table very quickly. But we'll see how it plays on a smallish table, and we shall see. Okay, here we are at turn 1, and I might have been a little bit overconfident when I said they could move basically three movements of 12 in one single move, because apparently that all depends on your command roll, and when you throw dice like I throw, then it's not really going to happen. Well, it certainly hasn't on this turn. So here we are. That commander failed his first unit. I didn't do a brigade move, which wouldn't have mattered anyway because it still failed. I did a individual unit moving, and that failed, which means he couldn't give any more orders for his brigade. So this little brigade has gone nowhere. So much for 36 inches. The other brigade didn't do much better, but at least they managed to move forward a little bit. So they all basically got either exactly the same as their commander, or the commander's rating, or 1 below. So they all moved forward 1 move, which we classed as being rough, because they're going over that hill or touching that hill. So 6 inches only. So maybe they won't be dashing across the battlefield. And on this side, they were going to move 1 unit or possibly 2 units forward, but when the dice were thrown, he failed his first unit as well, so he couldn't give any more orders. So on this move, the only thing that happened really is the Confederates moved slightly forward. This unit here got a disordered marker from the Confederate artillery, and this unit on here got a hit from the Union artillery. So might take a little bit longer to get across a small battlefield after all. So we'll see if we can do any better on the next move. Okay, so turn 2, and we've got some advancement on this turn. So after the disastrous command rolls on my previous turn, or on the first turn, the complete opposite this time. Decided to do brigade moves, both successful, and both got their full 3 moves. So after crossing the rough terrain, this is where they are now. So they're all lined up. They're in musket range, and there has been some volleys on this turn, which the Union infantry have definitely come off the better. So all they suffered was 1 hit on that unit in the corner, and a disordered marker on this unit here. So over here, unfortunately, the Reb's not so good. They got 2 hits on this unit and 2 hits on that unit. No disordered markers yet, but on the other brigade suffered no hits, so they're doing okay. So certainly getting closer to each other now. In one move, we've definitely closed the distance. So we'll see what sort of action happens on this next move. So here we are at turn 3, and what an active turn it was. So initially what happened was the Confederate brigade on the right flank, their charge went in a bit half-cocked, and only 1 unit managed to get over the fence there, and even then it only managed to move forward 6 inches, so didn't engage. It was hoping to charge the Union regiment there, but obviously didn't make it across the field. Its support failed its test, so they stayed where they were. The other Confederate unit in the brigade, again, that failed to get over the fence. That was going to hopefully charge this unit over here, but initially it failed to get over the test. Over the fence, and then failed its morale test, which is why it's 1 move back here. So not good on the right flank. A bit of a staggered start. Was hoping to get a charge in, but the command rolls didn't work, and it went in a bit half-cocked. So no charge here. On the other side, 1 unit went in, and that was the 33rd Virginia. They did actually hit the barricades there, but they were pretty much unsupported because the unit that was in support didn't follow up, and the unit on the left only got 1 move, so it was stuck in the middle of the field. So the eventual outcome was that they took a lot of hits on the way in from the closing fire, and they ended up losing their fight as well over that barricade, and they wiped out, or removed from field of play. So that's just their marker there. You can see their hits. So they had they were 2 above their stamina rating, and they just they failed. They had a poor roll as well, so they ended up disbanding as such. So that's it as it is. A bit of what should have been a successful charge forward on this move went in a bit half-cocked, and yeah, well, I hope we can do better on the next turn. Okay, so this is turn 4. Quite a lot happened on this turn yet again. I do find with these rules that it's kind of done in phases. So player A will command, move, fire, and then both sides do the melee, and then it will be player B turn, command, move, fire, and then both sides do melee. So what happens is a lot can happen in just the 1 turn. As we found with the last move, or the last turn and this turn. So what happened here was the right hand unit from the right flanking brigade, the commander did actually rally them, and they got down to 2, but then they subsequently received a volley from the Union regiment there, and they're back up to shaken again. The rest of the brigade pretty stationary. The other unit has come back into play as such, still shaken though. But a bit more action on the other side. Well, first of all, I'll draw your attention to this big gap here, and this was my first blunder in the rules. Well, it wasn't my blunder; it was my lad's blunder. I kind of expected a blunder at some point in the game, and consequently, for me, it was fortunate because that Union battalion there has moved off the table. It was basically the worst possible result, and it moved to the rear 2 moves, which obviously takes it off the table. They were shaken at the time as well, but that didn't make any difference to the actual blunder because a 6 is a straight blunder. So back over to the left hand flank, and you can see there that the 2 remaining regiments from that brigade have now charged in, and they have successfully defeated 1 unit, or at least got it to shaken, and then it's had to do a morale test, and it's retreated just to 12 inches, so it's not quite off the table yet. And the other fight between the artillery battery, this Union battalion, Union regiment and Confederate regiment, was a draw, and they passed. Even though they're shaken, they did pass their test. So a bit more action on this side, definitely, and things have turned around a little bit, and I think I've still got a chance here. But a lot of my units are now showing either shaken or not in a great state. So I'm just going to check the rules because I think there is an army, so like an army breakpoint or an army test or something. If you've got, or brigade test, depending on how many units got shaken. So we'll see what the result of that is, and we'll apply it in the next turn. Okay, so this is the result of the last turn, and it is the last turn because both my brigades were broken. I checked the rules, and basically the shaken units cannot be rallied, and any unit within 12 inches of a enemy unit must retire 12 inches away, or further than 12 inches away. I said both my brigades are broken. I came very close to breaking that line, but as you can see, that unit that was retiring on the right flank is now moved into the centre. And although a couple of the units are, well, actually, in fact, there's only one shaken unit on the Union side, on my side, after the Union fire volleys, I should say. All my units are shaken, and as I can't rally them now because my brigades are now broken, there's nothing I can do. So it was close. I like the rules. Lots of to and fro. I was a bit wary about the size of the table you would need, but that really does depend on whether you can actually do 3 moves for a unit, which I found most of the time wasn't the case. It was generally you either failed or you got 1 or 2 moves, with the odd exception of actually getting 3 moves. So I think it can be played on a smallish table. This one's I think it's 5 foot by 4, and with a small amount of units. I think it would be better, obviously, more brigades, because I've only got 1 brigade for the Union side of it. And these rules do cover quite a large period, and I do have obviously a collection of 20mm Zulu War figures, which I might give them, see how they play, see how colonial scenarios play with these rules. Like I said, quite enjoyed it. A lot of unexpected turns. The actual turns themselves, as I said before, lots of action. Can be in 1 turn. 1 minute you're advancing, next minute you're falling back. So yeah, enjoyed it. So might do a couple more battle reports on these rules. I will have got things wrong. So if you see anything obvious that we've done wrong, that I've missed, then please let me know. Because like I say, when you're reading from the book, and it can be quite difficult to pick up the rules sometimes. They do seem reasonably straightforward, but there's bound to be things that I've missed. So if anyone knows any better than that, like I say, please let me know. But yeah, a good game. I say this period, the American Civil War, I've not done for quite a while, but I think it played fairly well. We had 6 battalions or 6 regiments of Confederates against 4 regiments of Union, with the Union embedded in some field works over there and a fence line there. So I suppose pretty reasonable result. Maybe next time though, we'll see.